Have you ever felt exhausted trying to prove your worth to people who never really cared? Do you find yourself shrinking or overperforming just to be seen, heard, or accepted? What if the need for validation was the very chain holding back your freedom? Your peace, your true self? There's a quiet but powerful trap that many of us unknowingly walk into. It's not always loud. It doesn't announce itself with flashing lights. But it's there, subtle, creeping, and dangerously convincing. It's the need to be validated by others. We want people to notice our progress, acknowledge the sacrifices we've made, approve of the paths we've chosen. We crave their claps, their likes, their compliments, and at first, it seems harmless, encouraging, even, but over time, something shifts. What was once a healthy desire for connection becomes a dependency. And the moment you start living for approval, you give away your power. You surrender the control over your emotions, your peace, your decisions, to someone else's perception. That's a dangerous place to be. Because here's the harsh reality: people are inconsistent. One day, they're cheering you on. The next, they're too busy, too distracted, too indifferent. And if your confidence is built on their applause, what happens when the clapping stops? Does your motivation vanish with their attention? Does your self-worth crumble under their silence? That's why the most important shift you can make is this: focus on yourself. Not in arrogance, not in selfishness, but in self-respect, in self-preservation, in the pursuit of real growth. Because when you make yourself a priority, not just in your schedule, but in your soul, you begin to see things differently. You stop watching what everyone else is doing. You stop comparing timelines. You stop explaining your dreams to people who were never meant to understand them in the first place. Instead, you turn inward. You direct that energy, the one you once wasted chasing people, defending your decisions, proving your value, towards building something unshakable inside you. And yes, it's hard, especially when you have big dreams. Dreams that scare you, dreams that stretch you, dreams you want to pursue but hold back. Wondering, what will they say? Will they mock me? Will they support me? Let me be honest, some will. Some will criticize, some will question, some will doubt. But that's not your problem to solve. Because their opinions don't feed you. They don't pay your bills. They don't put gas in your car, purpose in your soul, or peace in your heart. Their approval is not a requirement for your progress. The day you realize this, the day you prioritize your own growth over their validation, is the day you become unstoppable. You stop posting your every move to prove you're working. You stop looking around for nods of recognition. You stop making choices to impress people who wouldn't notice if you disappeared tomorrow. Instead, you build discipline. You get up early. You grind in silence. You chase growth not for the claps but for the calling. That's power. That's maturity. That's what lasting success is built on. Because when your work is consistent, your results will speak louder than anything you could have said. And one day, yes, it will happen. The people who doubted you, who mocked you, who ignored you, they will see. But by then, it won't matter. Because you weren't doing it for them. You were doing it for you. And that is the only reason that ever mattered. And here's something most people never talk about. When you truly start focusing on yourself, not from ego, but from alignment, you find peace. A deep, unshakable peace. The kind that doesn't flinch when someone throws shade. The kind that doesn't need to clap back at every insult. The kind that doesn't crave being seen, because it knows it's already enough. You stop participating in every argument. You stop explaining your heart to people who only listen with their ego. You stop wasting your energy trying to fit into boxes you were never meant to be in. Instead, you stand tall, you walk in silence, you move with intention, And above all, you remember this truth: your value does not change just because someone else refuses to see it. So now, let me ask you a real question. Are you living to be seen, or are you living to be whole? Are you crafting a life that reflects your soul, or a mask that pleases the crowd? Because when all is said and done, when the noise fades, when the claps end, when you're alone with your thoughts, you're the only one who has to live with the decisions you've made. So make 'em count, make 'em yours, make 'em sacred. And when you're ready, let's go even deeper into what it means to walk in quiet strength. In the next part of this journey, have you ever looked in the mirror and asked yourself, is this the version of me I'm truly proud of? What if the only person whose approval you ever needed was already staring back at you? Are you tired of waiting for someone else to give you permission to become everything you know you were born to be? It's time to wake up to a truth most people spend their whole lives ignoring. You don't need anyone's permission to be great. You don't need applause to move. You don't need a round of cheers to believe in yourself. And you certainly don't need outside validation to begin the work that will transform your life. If you want to grow, grow. If you want to shift, shift. If you're ready to rise, then do it now. Don't wait another day, another moment, for someone else to approve your dreams before you start building them. Because here's the truth: you are enough. Right here, right now, as you are. And the only approval that has ever truly mattered is your own. There's an underrated strength that we don't talk about nearly enough, and that's silence. In a world obsessed with noise, updates, opinions, arguments, and attention-seeking, silence has become almost revolutionary. We live in a time where it seems if you're not talking about it, it must not be happening. But let me tell you something. Real power doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't scream for recognition. It doesn't beg to be seen. It's simply ACTS. True power comes from action, not noise. It's the quiet execution, the early mornings no one sees, the late nights no one applauds, the commitment to consistency when no one is cheering you on. Silence is not weakness. It's not insecurity. It's not a lack of confidence. In fact, silence is strategy. Silence is wisdom. Silence is strength wrapped in restraint. It's understanding that not every move requires a declaration. That not every thought deserves to be spoken aloud. That not every opinion is worthy of a response. The moment you learn to control your words, you begin to control your energy. And when you control your energy, you control your life. But here's where many people fall: they mistake noise for progress. They think they need to defend themselves to everyone, to post everything, to argue with strangers, to prove their worth to people who don't even matter. And that, my friend, is a trap. Let me be clear, you owe no one an explanation. You don't have to justify your growth. You don't have to prove your healing. You don't have to defend your purpose. Because the people who truly matter, those who really know your heart, your discipline, your fire, they'll see it without you having to say a single word. And the rest? They were never watching anyway. They were never really with you in the first place. There's a reason the most successful people in the world aren't arguing in comment sections. They're not busy posting every detail of their lives for strangers to validate. They're not explaining their every step to people who are committed to misunderstanding them. Because they understand a deeper truth. Real success is forged in silence. It's born in the invisible hours. It's built in those quiet spaces where there's no clapping, no audience, no recognition, only grit, discipline, and purpose. That's where the breakthrough lives. But too many are still caught in the trap of visibility. You want to be seen. You want your efforts acknowledged. You want people to say, "I see you, I'm proud of you." And when they don't, you start to question yourself. You wonder if it's worth it. You wonder if you're good enough. But here's the truth you need to internalize. Their approval is not required for your success. You do not need to broadcast every move you make to validate your journey. You do not need confirmation to know you're growing. Because real growth, the kind that lasts, happens in silence. It's quiet. It's personal. It's sacred. And if you learn to embrace that, you'll begin to rise in a way that no applause could ever match. Let's now explore what happens when you stop explaining and start evolving, in the next part of this journey. Making progress is not always about making announcements. The truth is, when the work is real, when the effort is consistent, it will speak for itself in due time. Not every seed planted needs to be seen above ground to prove it's growing. Some of the most transformative growth happens in silence, underground. Hidden, protected. There are things in life that deserve to be guarded like sacred treasures: your plans, your growth, your dreams. Not everyone is entitled to access your thoughts, your emotions, your next step. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is keep those things to yourself, not out of secrecy, but out of strategy. Because the moment you start broadcasting your intentions, you open the door to voices that were never meant to enter. You invite criticism before you've even begun. You allow doubt to creep in before confidence has had a chance to take root. Have you noticed that the loudest people often accomplish the least? It's not a coincidence. They pour their energy into convincing the world of what they might do instead of quietly committing themselves to the actual doing. Talking becomes their performance. But in the end, performance doesn't build anything. Action does. When you choose silence, you shift your energy away from explanation and toward execution. You stop caring about who believes in your potential. You stop craving validation. You stop needing applause. You simply do the work, day by day, step by step. And the power of quiet consistency is that one day, the results will rise so clearly, so undeniably, that no one will be able to question them. You won't need to speak. Your life will speak for you. Silence gives you an edge. When people don't know what you're doing, they can't interfere. They can't plant seeds of doubt. They can't manipulate, distract, or sabotage what they don't see coming. That unpredictability becomes protection. It becomes your advantage. While others are busy proving, defending, and debating, you're building. While they're lost in noise, you're progressing in peace. And don't mistake your silence for fear. It isn't timidity, it's wisdom. It's the understanding that success doesn't come from declarations, it comes from discipline. It comes from honoring the work, day in and day out, even when no one notices. It's the knowing that not every battle is worth entering. Not every opinion is worth responding to. Not every step forward needs a witness. Silence means you trust yourself. You trust the timing of your life. You trust that what's meant for you will arrive. Not because you shouted for it, but because you stayed the course. Whether anyone sees it coming or not, it's still coming. But even when you're focused and disciplined, there's another trap that can sneak in quietly, threatening your peace: comparison. It often appears when you least expect it. 1 minute, you're feeling confident, proud of how far you've come. Then suddenly, you see someone else, faster, more polished, seemingly ahead, and doubt begins to whisper. Am I behind? Should I be doing more? Why am I not where they are? Comparison is one of the most deceptive distractions. It drains your focus. It drains your energy. It steals your joy in small doses. Until you no longer recognize how far you've come because you're too busy measuring how far you think you still need to go based on someone else's progress. But here's the truth: no two people are on the same path. Your journey is yours. Your timing is yours. Your lessons, your growth, your breakthroughs, they are all designed uniquely for you. You weren't meant to follow someone else's timeline. You weren't meant to duplicate their success or avoid their struggles. Your road is different. It was built for your soul, not theirs. And yet, so many people waste years looking sideways. They compare salaries, relationships, milestones, and accolades. They see someone else's success and start to question their own pace. But all this does is disconnect them from their own mission. It diverts energy away from progress and into insecurity. When you fixate on someone else's destination, you lose sight of your own. And that's the beginning of paralysis. That's when doubt takes over. That's when momentum dies. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can choose to return your focus to where it belongs, your growth, your rhythm, your journey. You can choose to trust that you're exactly where you need to be, even if no one else understands it. Even if the progress feels small. Even if the pace seems slow. Because slow growth is still growth. And quiet progress is still progress. And success that comes without noise often lasts the longest. Now let's go deeper into the power of trusting your own timing in the next part of this message. One of the reasons so many people feel like they're failing isn't because they're not good enough or not working hard enough, it's because they're constantly looking sideways. They see someone else achieving something they haven't yet reached, and suddenly, all the progress they've made feels small, insignificant, even meaningless. But the real issue isn't that they're lacking anything. The problem is this: they're looking in the wrong direction. When you spend all your time comparing yourself to others, it's like driving while constantly turning your head to check other lanes. You stop seeing your own road. You lose sight of how far you've come. You can't feel the quiet momentum you've built day after day, because your focus has been hijacked by someone else's path. And here's the reality: what you see of others is almost always filtered. On social media especially, you're only seeing the curated moments, the perfect lighting, the inspiring captions, the polished, edited victories. You're not seeing the restless nights, the silent breakdowns, the relentless self-doubt. You're not seeing how many times they failed before they finally got it right. You're only seeing what they want you to see. You're seeing the highlight reel, not the whole movie. And if you keep comparing your behind-the-scenes reality to someone else's highlight reel, you'll always feel like you're not doing enough, like you're too late, like you're not enough. That's why you need something more powerful than motivation. You need mental discipline. Discipline to protect your focus. Discipline to keep your eyes on your own lane. Discipline to remind yourself daily, my journey is mine alone. Because the truth is, it doesn't matter what they're doing. It doesn't matter how fast they're running. It doesn't matter how shiny their wins may look. What matters is that you're growing, that you're making progress, that you're becoming better than who you were yesterday. At the end of the day, the only person you need to outperform is your past self. But too many people are slowing themselves down because they're too busy scanning the crowd, looking at who's ahead, who's falling behind, who's watching. But none of that actually matters. You could win in the eyes of the world and lose in your own soul. Or you could quietly stay the course, without any applause, and know deep inside, I'm becoming the person I was meant to be. Because your journey is not meant to be copied. No one has your timeline. No one carries your lessons, your pace, your process. And the moment you turn your energy fully inward, everything shifts. You no longer feel the need to prove anything. You stop chasing things just because others have them. You stop measuring your worth by standards that were never meant for you. You begin, instead, to define success on your own terms. But that doesn't come by accident. It requires intentional living. It requires waking up every day and choosing. Today, I will not let my attention be stolen by someone else's shine. I will put my energy where it matters most, inside of me. And remember this: someone else winning doesn't mean you're losing. This life is not a zero-sum race. There is no final bell, no deadline for success. You're not late, you're not behind. You are right on time for your own journey. Imagine a race. The moment a runner starts glancing sideways to check where their competition is, what happens? Their form breaks, their rhythm falls apart, their momentum slips away. Why? Because they stopped running their race and started worrying about someone else's. That's what comparison does to your life. It makes you shift. It steals your stability. It clouds your clarity. And soon, your decisions are no longer rooted in your truth, but in fear, pressure, and public perception. But when you stay in your lane, when your focus is forward and your mind is locked in, you move differently. You walk with a sense of calm, because you're not chasing noise. You build with strength, because you're not distracted by anyone else's schedule. You live with purpose, because your direction is coming from within, not from the outside world. And every step you take becomes a step closer to your true self. Now, let's continue this journey together, and explore what happens when you embrace full presence and unwavering trust in your own process, in the next part of this message. Start trusting this: what's meant for you will come, in its own time. Not earlier, not later, but exactly when it's meant to, guided by the sacred rhythm of life. When you begin to embrace the truth, you stop rushing. You no longer feel the need to get there first. Instead, you begin to value something far more powerful: consistency. And today, I want you to make a decision, a clear, powerful decision, to stop looking around and start looking within. To stop comparing yourself to others and start comparing yourself to the person you were yesterday. Because in the end, the only competition that truly matters is the one between you and the untapped potential within you. If you can wake up each morning and honestly say, "I'm better than I was yesterday," then you are already winning. Energy is one of the most valuable resources you have. And yet, so many people waste it on things that don't matter. They waste it on pointless arguments, on proving themselves to people who don't even care, on holding on to things that should have been released a long time ago. But when you finally understand how sacred your energy is, you begin to protect it. You stop giving it away so freely. You become intentional about where it flows, who receives it, and what you allow to take up space in your mind. Because the truth is, not everything deserves your attention. Not every comment needs a reply. Not every situation requires your involvement. Some of you feel exhausted, not because you're working hard on your goals, but because you're constantly entangled in things that don't serve you. You let distractions pull you away from what truly matters. You let negativity slip into your mental space when it should have been ignored. You engage in conversations that drain your spirit instead of lifting your soul. And then you wonder, why do I feel stuck? Why do I feel like I'm running in circles? The issue isn't that you're incapable. The issue is that you're spending your energy in all the wrong places. Here's the truth: not everyone deserves access to you. Just because someone demands your time, it doesn't mean you owe it to them. Just because someone questions your choices, it doesn't mean you have to explain. You don't owe the world an explanation for how you choose to live your life. Some things are meant to be handled in silence. Some battles are not worth fighting. And some people only exist to distract you, to test your focus, to pull you off course. If you're not careful, you'll spend more time managing their chaos than building your own peace. There's a big difference between being busy and being productive. Some people live their entire lives in constant motion, always busy, always reacting, always entangled in something. They're consumed by noise, distractions, drama. They're pulled in 100 directions every day. But by the end of it all, they have nothing real to show for it. No progress, no peace, no deep, lasting growth. And that is the most dangerous kind of failure, the silent one. Now let's move forward together, so we can explore how to recognize real momentum from empty movement. And how to live deliberately, not reactively, in the next part of this journey. Many people spend their lives stuck, not because they lack talent or ambition, but because they never learned how to protect their energy. They let too many things drain them. They allow meaningless conversations, negative people, and invisible fears to consume their mental space. And by the time they return to their own goals, they have nothing left to give. But when you begin to be selective, when you make conscious decisions about where your energy goes, everything begins to shift. You stop giving energy to things that don't matter. You stop letting people pull you into their chaos. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to those who never truly listen. You start moving differently. You begin to establish boundaries. You protect your space and your mind as sacred ground. And most importantly, you begin to make real, undeniable progress. People will always have something to say. They'll always have opinions about what you're doing, how you're doing it, and whether or not they believe you'll succeed. But here's the truth. Their opinions do not define your reality. Their words do not shape your future. And the moment you realize this, you become free. You stop wasting time trying to change their minds. You stop proving your worth to those who never truly saw you. You stop handing over your energy to things that don't build you. Instead, you redirect that energy back to yourself, to your growth, to the things that truly move your life forward. You invest your time in your goals, in your peace, in the slow, steady steps of daily progress. You stop reacting to everything. And instead, you learn to respond only to what actually matters. Bit by bit, you develop a new level of discipline. One that keeps your focus razor sharp, no matter what's happening around you. And let me tell you something, when you begin to live like this, people notice. At first, they may not understand. They may ask, why doesn't he respond like he used to? Why is she no longer explaining herself? Why doesn't he engage in the drama anymore? But in time, they'll see it. They'll see the growth. They'll feel the peace. They'll witness the results that come from refusing to waste your energy and choosing instead to use it wisely. So from this moment on, I want you to guard your energy like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. Be intentional, be selective, and above all, stay focused. Because once you master the art of protecting your energy, nothing and no one can stop you from becoming exactly who you were created to be. Many people want success, but not everyone is willing to be consistent. They get fired up by a new goal, a new plan, a new vision for their life. But when the excitement fades, so does their effort. The moment things become difficult, when results don't come as quickly as expected, they begin to slow down. They start searching for shortcuts, chasing quick wins, hoping for easier roads. But true success doesn't come from doing something once in a while. It comes from showing up every single day, even when no one is watching. And that is what we'll explore together in the next part of this journey. Even when no one is watching, even when no one is clapping, even when it feels like nothing is changing, the people who truly succeed, they keep going. They're not the ones who talk the loudest. They're not the ones making grand declarations about their dreams or shouting their plans to the world. They are the ones who work in silence. They stay committed to the journey, even when it gets hard. They show up for themselves, day in and day out, without needing anyone's approval. Because they understand one simple truth. Consistency is the secret. Success doesn't come from a few dramatic moves, it comes from small, disciplined actions, repeated day after day over time. But too many people want results without discipline. They want success without sacrifice. They want to skip the hard parts and jump straight to the rewards. And when success doesn't come fast enough, they start making excuses. They blame their circumstances. They blame other people. They blame everything except themselves. But here's the truth: success doesn't work like that. You can't skip the process. You can't avoid the effort. You either stay consistent or you stay stuck. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone start something full of excitement, only to quit a few weeks later? How many times have you yourself committed to something, only to let it fade the moment life got complicated? That's the difference between those who make it and those who don't. The ones who make it don't rely on motivation, because motivation fades. They rely on discipline. They rely on habits. They rely on the understanding that success is built in the moments you don't feel like showing up, but you do anyway. Some of you are sitting on dreams that could completely transform your life. But you're waiting for the right time, the right mood, the right circumstances. You keep telling yourself, I'll start tomorrow. I'll make a plan next week. Next year, I'll get serious. But deep down, you already know the truth. There is no perfect time. There is no perfect moment. The only thing that matters is what you do right now. And if you're not willing to be consistent in the present, you'll never create the future you dream of. So learn to move in silence. Stop announcing every plan, every goal, every step before you've even taken it. Stop chasing validation before you've begun. Just do the work, because the more you talk, the more room you give others to plant doubt in your mind. You open the door to distractions. You begin to crave approval instead of focusing on execution. But when you move in silence, when you lock in on your goals, when your focus is undisturbed, no one can interfere with your progress. Let me tell you something. People will notice your results long before they understand your effort. That's the way real success works. Now let's continue together and discover what happens when you stop seeking attention and start building a life that speaks for itself in the next part of this journey. That's how the world works. People won't see the nights you stayed awake alone. They won't witness the mornings you rose before the sun. They won't feel the sacrifices you made in silence. They won't know about the days when you almost gave up, but chose to keep going anyway. But one day, when the results begin to appear, when your consistency begins to pay off, they'll look at you and say, "That happened fast." They'll assume it was overnight success. But they'll never realize it was the quiet, disciplined work you did when no one was watching that made all the difference. That's why you must stay consistent. Even when it feels like no one cares. Even when it feels like you're invisible. Because the truth is, the process will always test you before it rewards you. It will ask you, how bad do you really want this? It will push you to keep going, even when quitting would be easier. And if you can remain consistent, through the dry days, through the frustrating setbacks, through the moments of doubt and silence, then success won't be a matter of if, but when. Whatever it is you're working on right now, whatever goal, whatever dream, stay consistent. Keep moving in silence. Keep showing up, even when it feels like the hardest thing in the world. Because someday, the work you're doing right now will speak so loudly for itself. You won't have to say a single word. Most people don't realize how much noise surrounds them every day. Noise from opinions, noise from distractions, noise from doubts, gossip, and meaningless conversation. And if you're not careful, that noise will drown out your own voice. It'll pull you in 100 directions until you completely forget why you started in the first place. That's why, at some point, you have to turn it all off. You have to make the conscious decision to shut down the noise, to cut off the distractions, to walk away from the things and the people that do nothing but slow you down. Because if you don't, you'll spend your life reacting instead of creating, listening instead of leading, following instead of building. The truth is, not everyone is meant to understand your journey. Not everyone will support you. Some people won't believe in you. Some will doubt you. Some will even try to discourage you, not because they know better than you, but because they don't have the courage to do what you're doing. When they see you growing, when they see you breaking free from the limits they've accepted for themselves, it makes them uncomfortable. It forces them to question their own choices. And instead of rising with you, they'll try to pull you back down to their level. But that is not your concern. You do not owe anyone an explanation for your growth. You do not need permission to become the person you were created to be. Some of you are carrying the weight of other people's expectations, other people's doubts, other people's fears, and that weight is slowing you down. It's making you hesitate. It's holding you back. Now, let's keep moving forward, so you can learn how to release that weight and reclaim your full momentum in the next part of this journey. You keep hesitating, overthinking, worrying about what others will say, what they'll think, what they might whisper behind your back. But let me tell you something. What they think does not matter, because they are not the ones who will have to live with the consequences of your decisions. You are, and if you spend your life trying to make everyone else comfortable, trying to be agreeable, likable, easy to understand, you will never fully step into the person you were born to be. You'll never unlock the potential inside of you. That's why you must learn how to move in silence, to protect your vision, to stop allowing outside voices to shape your path. Because here's the truth: the higher you rise, the louder the noise, the more you grow, the more distractions will appear, more opinions, more criticism, more pressure to conform. And if you start giving those voices too much attention, you'll slowly begin adjusting your actions to meet their expectations, instead of staying faithful to your own purpose. But those who truly succeed, the ones who reach their full potential, they understand something that most people never will. They know that silence is power. That discipline is more valuable than approval. That real focus only comes when you shut out what's unnecessary. They understand that their success is not built on being understood by everyone. So they keep moving forward, even when no one gets it, even when no one sees the vision but them. Some of you are holding dreams that are so big, they scare you, and because they scare you, you start searching for reassurance. You want someone to tell you you're on the right path. You want confirmation before you take the next step. But let me ask you, what happens if that reassurance never comes? What if the people around you can't see what you see? What if they don't believe what you believe? Do you stop? Do you shrink your vision to fit their limited understanding? Or do you keep moving, even when no one else believes? Because you can't afford to wait for validation. You can't afford to slow down just because the people around you don't get it yet. You have to be willing to move forward, in silence, in uncertainty, in solitude, because belief starts with you. No one will take you seriously until you take yourself seriously. No one will believe in your vision until you trust it first. And the more you rely on external validation, the weaker your internal foundation becomes. That's why you must be intentional about what you allow into your mind, what you listen to, what you accept. If you surround yourself with doubt, with hesitation, with people who only see the worst-case scenario, that mindset will infect you. But if you surround yourself with discipline, with focus, with a kind of silence that builds instead of destroys. You will move differently. You will walk with quiet confidence, a confidence that doesn't need to be explained. Because at the end of the day, your life is your responsibility, not theirs. Let's move on, so you can discover how to fully own that responsibility. And step boldly into your next chapter, in the next part of this journey. Your success, your growth, your inner peace, all of it begins with the choices you make. And among all the choices life offers you, there is one that holds the power to change everything. The decision to eliminate distractions, to stop seeking applause, and to move forward with clear purpose and unwavering intent. Because once you do that, nothing and no one will be able to stop you. In the end, this journey is yours, and yours alone. The noise, the opinions, the comparisons, they're just background static. What truly matters is this: your focus, your self-discipline, your ability to keep walking forward, even when no one else understands where you're going. This world is filled with noise, but the ones who rise above it are not the ones who shout the loudest. They are the ones who know how to stay silent when it matters most. They are the ones who protect their energy, who step away from the crowd, and do the work in the shadows, until their success becomes too loud to be ignored. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You don't need validation to become great. What you need is consistency, resilience, and the courage to stay committed to your path, even when results haven't shown up yet. So stop looking around, stop explaining, stop waiting for approval. Focus on yourself. Move in silence, because when you do, your growth will speak for itself. So clearly, so powerfully, that one day, the world will have no choice but to acknowledge the person you've become. And if you're ready to step into the final chapter, where every silent seed you've planted begins to rise with undeniable strength, then join me in the next part of this journey, the conclusion. So here we are, at the end of this journey. But in truth, this is just the beginning for you. The beginning of a life lived with focus. A life no longer ruled by noise, opinions, or distractions. A life where your growth speaks louder than your explanations. Where your discipline carries more weight than anyone's approval. And where your silence becomes your greatest source of strength. Remember this: you don't have to announce your worth. You don't have to convince anyone of your potential. Let your actions speak. Let your results testify. Let your life be the proof. Stay consistent. Stay grounded. Stay silent and powerful. Because the ones who change the world aren't always the loudest. They're the ones who know how to move quietly. Until one day, the whole world hears them. Bullseye. If this message spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Check mark subscribe to this channel for more soul-shifting content. Bell, turn on the bell so you never miss a moment of growth. Envelope and share this video with someone who needs to be reminded. Their silence is not weakness, it's preparation. Thank you for walking this path with us. Now, it's time to rise quietly and shine loudly.